Welcome to Empowered by Iron, hosted by Dr. Kristen Lander from Fiercely Fueled Nutrition Coaching and Mary Morton from Grad Gains, the online resource for your fitness needs. Together, we are empowered by iron. Everyone, so welcome to Empowered by Iron. Today we have a really exciting guest with us. We have Jennifer Thompson from USAPL, one of the strongest women in the world, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her story and how she got where she is today. So Jennifer, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I'm Jennifer Thompson. I live in Denver, North Carolina, grew up in Michigan, and I've been powerlifting since 1999.
Wow. So
great.
you were probably one of the first people to get started at this.
No, it's been around for a really long time, but I'm finding now, it doesn't feel like that way, but I'm finding now that I am sort of one of the ones that have been around the longest now. It just seems a little surreal still, but because it's such a great sport and powerlifting has such longevity, you really can do it for a long time.
Absolutely.
So I started in 1999. I just was weightlifting with my husband, and I was getting really strong, and then I got stronger than his friends. So we were like, we got to be able to do something with this. And at the time, fitness was just coming out. It was really big, and it was an alternative to bodybuilding. I knew I didn't want to do bodybuilding. And we happened to be on Venice Beach, and they had a competition on Venice Beach, and we watched it, and I was like, I looked at what they were doing, and I was doing that in our gym. So back then, like, we did not have like all this internet resources. You had like a magazine to look up what meets were coming. And so, you know, I started way back then, and it was in the era of equipment. There was no Raw, so you had to get used to the equipment. But since then, let's see, I was always really great at the bench press. So I started just bench pressing. I didn't do the full powerlifting. And I won the worlds 4 times for the IPF equipped bench press. But it took some time. I mean, I took third my first year. I took second a few times. And then I won once. And the second time I took second, but the Russian girl popped positive, so then it moved me to first. So I did that, and then I started doing the 3 lift because I was like, well, this is so much fun. Why not extend it? The bench is so quick; it's just 3 and you're done. So I started getting into the 3 lift in equipment again, and I won nationals a couple times, went to worlds once. I wasn't as competitive though in the 3 lift in equipment as I was in bench. And then sort of got to the point where I was just done with all the equipment. Like I was tired of using it. I was tired of how much it hurt to use it. And so I said, I'm going to do one last one. My goal was to break the longest standing American record in my weight class by Bettina Altizer. So that's someone who's been a really long time. Most people probably don't know who she is, but she's who I looked up to when I first got into the sport. And so I broke it, and I took it off, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. I think this was around 2010. And then I'd always been really great raw. I always had really good numbers in the gym. I didn't train a lot in equipment. I just put it on and went to the meets.
Oh, awesome. Wow.
And it so bad. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I'm just going to take it off and lift raw. I don't care. And that's when the raw movement came, which it was just really kind of weird how it coincided. And so I started doing some raw, and I was just like really good compared to everybody else. Who knew? Who knew? So I won the nationals. I think the raw nationals. I tried to look before I came here. I want to say it was 8 or 9 times.
Holy cow!
I think I've won between bench press and equipped raw nationals. I think I've had like 34 raw national national titles in general.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and so I've won the worlds in the raw 3 times now.
Holy cow!
I didn't go the first year. It was in the middle of nowhere in Russia.
Oh yeah.
And Kim Walford won't let me forget this because I didn't go and she wanted me to go, and like, I am not traveling to the middle of nowhere in Russia. That's just not the place where you want to be in the middle of nowhere. And so I didn't go the first year. The second year I went to Sweden, and Kim and I were in the same weight class, and she beat me.
Uh-oh.
I had a terrible meet, but she still just beat me. And then after that I won every time. And so, I mean, my lifts have gotten better. I usually win the bench press. My deadlift's pretty decent, and I have the world record in the bench press and total. So my total's not too bad.
I mean, it sounds all right.
It's okay. So I've been in it a while. I guess that's the synopsis of this whole thing. It's like, yeah, I've been around a while. You know, a few titles, a few world records.
Well, you've been so versed in the community too. It's like you got to see the entire evolution. Where someone like me, who's novice, we come in and we just think all these things are how they are.
It's crazy. I mean, we started. Really, it was when I first started. I think we had somewhere around 5,000 members in USA Powerlifting.
That's
and
it.
I thought, yeah, that's it. And we thought that was a lot. That was a lot compared to all the other organizations. But now I think the last report was we're somewhere up in October. We're somewhere up near 13,000, 14,000, and each year it's growing.
That's wonderful.
You know, so to think about where we came from there, and it was all equipment. No one lifted raw. Everyone put on squat suits, deadlift suits, bench shirts.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And those have to be really involved too, because when we first started, they were just like single ply poly ester, and they were awful. And then they got thicker and more advanced over the years to the point where you have to be, you know, very knowledgeable to use it.
Yes. And you also have to struggle to get in them
Yeah,
sometimes.
yes. And I remember one time I had to go to like my yearly physical exam, and I had just finished squatting, and so I had these nasty red, like sliced bruises across my hips. And the doctor was like, do we need she gave me a pamphlet on like domestic abuse. And she's like, listen, I'm here for you. You just let me know. I can contact something. What's going on? You know, she was
my belt.
and here I am trying to explain to her it's really the squat suit that I pull up so I can lift heavy weight, and I did this to myself. You know, and
Typical excuse.
and I don't know that she really believed me because it was so far-fetched. You know, because it really, I mean, it almost looked like whip marks. Probably they're just straight bruises with missing skin. You know,
That's amazing. Wow.
so craziness. You know, I really love the raw. Every time, it's still now, even though I'm doing raw since like 2010. Every time I pack my bag for me, I can't believe how light it is and how little stuff is in there. I'm like, this is awesome. You know?
You got your shoes, your belt, and your Pop-Tarts, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, sleeves and some wraps, and that's all you need. So I love it.
That's awesome. So speaking about it, kind of just taking a step back to talk to your physician and trying to explain to her about, you know, you were lifting. So how has the evolution, like how have you seen the evolution of women lifters, and like how has that been?
It's been phenomenal, particularly since probably 2010. It started really changing. I think there's a couple of reasons. I think the economy went really bad around then. Equipment's super expensive. Like a bench shirt's $200, a squat suit's $150, $200. You have a deadlift suit, and then you only can wear them a few times before you need new ones. So I think the economy helped a lot with that. And I think that also that the equipment got so advanced, it's hard to explain. You know, I can squat 415 pounds, but really I can only do 350, you know?
Right.
So because it got so advanced, there was such a huge gap between what you could really do and what the equipment, and to a layperson, it was really hard to explain that.
Right.
And so you started seeing more and more people coming out and just saying, done with it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and our women too, I was just saying earlier, you know, I'm the state chair for North Carolina, so we've been putting on meets for many years, probably since 2003 now, and we would have maybe 5 women show up at our meet, and now we have almost half. I mean, so it's a huge evolution in women, and I think just in society in general. Like when I first started back in 1999, it was very odd to see a woman in the weight part of a gym, and you were really looked at funny for being in there. Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah. Almost like scrutinized, like watching your every move.
And I had, you know, I'm not particularly like a bodybuilder type woman, but I have muscle, and I've had men stop me and tell me they don't like my muscles, or that I'm too big, or I look like a man. And
did I ask your opinion?
right, which is always like, I'm like, why are you telling me this?
Yeah.
But you don't see that anymore. It's very much more acceptable, and almost, you know, I did an interview a while ago, and you check about the evolution of women. You know, Marilyn Monroe. She was a very voluptuous woman.
Yes.
That was attractive, to have a little meat on your bones, to be very curvy. And then we kind of went to this model where you're, you know, stick thin, anorexic looking. You know, and I do think now more is an athletic looking woman. I think that is more of what your ideal woman is. And what's great about that is that can be perceived in many different ways. You know, you look at Bonica Law, who is our super heavyweight woman, she's about 600 pounds.
That's amazing.
I mean, she's a bigger woman, but man, is she strong.
She's so
And
strong.
she's an athletic woman.
Right.
You know, and then you can look at a little tiny girl, and she's an athletic girl. So I think that we have so many doors for so many types of body types in this sport. In general, the athletic women is really open to interpretation too. So I think that's great.
Absolutely. Yeah, I always think in my head that we've come to this where athletic women, this accepted in kind of society's image of what's good or acceptable. But sometimes I wonder if it's my background that's
Maybe just
biasing me.
noticing
Like,
it more.
well, I just
Yeah.
think that athletic women are
Yeah.
amazing. So,
no,
but
I think, well, you tell the growth by CrossFit you talked
Yeah.
about earlier.
Yeah.
Those are some very athletic looking women. They have to be to do what they do.
Right.
But then we have, powerlifting growing too, and even strong woman,
Yeah.
is still around too. So even though if it's not more acceptable, there's more of it. And I think that alone makes it more common. Just the
Right.
more commonality of it makes it a little bit more acceptable.
Kind of
Not that we
powers the
need
number.
Yeah, not that we need to have acceptance, but
Not really, but when you're at the gym and it's just you and some guy comes up and tells you that he doesn't like the way you look, no matter how confident you are in yourself, there's a little bit of you that you're like, that sucks.
Why?
Yeah,
Why would
that's
you
not
say
nice.
that to me?
that guy's just an ass.
Basically. So, is lifting your full-time job, or do you do something else?
Oh, I'm a part-time teacher, high school teacher.
Oh, high school.
Yeah. This is actually my 20th year teaching.
Holy cow.
I know. And when I first started, I didn't think I'd make 5 years. I'm like, there is no way I'm going to be in this profession for 5 years. It was so hard. And here I am in my 20th year. I counted it like before school started this year, and I couldn't believe it. But I think I am a little bit lucky, and I teach part-time. Once my husband and I had kids, I really wanted to be, I love teaching, and I still wanted to be a working mom, but I also wanted to have a whole lot of time for them. So I got really lucky that I have a part-time job. I taught math for many years, and this year I'm actually teaching nutrition. So
Great.
I know I could talk to you later about some ideas. So it's a new curriculum and a new. I've been working with Paul Raviella from Pro Physique. He's a nutritionist, and so I've been working with him since April and really learning a lot about nutrition, just macroing and just how it works, and then sort of forced myself by taking this class. I have to learn more about it too. I mean, I have a science background. My major is in science, but I've taught math for so many years. I'm really having to pull myself back in and really think about the science aspect of it all. But it's a lot of fun, and I just love working with the kids. I have a powerlifting club that I do at the school, and the funny thing is that this club usually ends up, you'd think like you would have all these like big time athletes in it, but it ends up being the kids that really don't have a sport they fit into.
Yes.
So it ends up being a really great eclectic group of kids who don't, aren't really great at basketball or skilled sport maybe.
Right.
And then they find their niche in powerlifting. See, I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's awesome. I wish that existed when I was in school, because
Yeah.
I have said I was a gymnast, and I was no good at it, but it was something where I was using some strength and some power, and but lifting, if I had found that when I was in high school, that would have been amazing.
Oh yeah, I mean they didn't have that for girls. When I was in school, this was a long time ago, we had this class called Marine Fitness, where we did the Marine Fitness Challenge test, and you had to do like a standing broad jump, you had to do 100 sit-ups in 2 minutes, 30 pull-ups, 60 military push-ups, and there's one other one, but we would compete in that, and I took that gym class every semester.
Did you?
I loved it. And we would compete, and I think there was maybe 2 girls in the class. The rest was guys,
All
which
guys.
I was always a little more comfortable that way. Anyway, I was more of a tomboy than anything. So, but I do think, a lot of people ask me how strong. I think that gave me such core strength.
Absolutely.
With strength amongst your body, I really do think that gave me a huge advantage when I got into this sport, because I could do so many pull-ups and so many push-ups, and I never limited myself by being a girl, because it was just a test that everyone did, and we would do rope climbs and things like that. So I do think that set me apart, just strength-wise.
And mindset too, probably.
Yeah.
You were like, well, of course I can do this.
Yeah, there was no limitations, and I always feel bad because we used to run the stadium stairs, and our coach would say if he would start me last, and if I caught anybody, they had to do it twice.
Oh no, you were that girl.
I was that girl, and I'd bust my butt, and I'd pass 8 or 9 guys, and I think today they must hate me. And that was really not nice. But, you know, that was the 90s.
So how do you balance work? So work and then your lifting life, and then, I mean, you have a family too. How is it?
And this year we started Iron Sisters USA. It's a training camp with Kim Wofford, Anika Law, myself, and then Marissa Inda is doing one with us. And so actually that's been a huge undertaking, setting up the company, which I'm sure you're with the Powered by Iron, you know what that means. You know, starting an LLC, getting a website, tax ID, setting up our trainings around the country. So our first one is in January in Omaha, and then we're doing one at Barbell Brigade and Juggernaut in California in March. And then we're doing one in Toronto in the summer, and then I've had like 4 or 5 inquiries about different places. So that's taken on this life. That's actually been a lot lately. But teaching part-time, I also run North Carolina Powerlifting, so we're putting on the meets and doing the records, and then my kids come first.
Right.
So, but it is a bit of a balance in my own training. Don't forget that.
Right. Right.
Yeah, you have everything to do.
And we definitely are a little YouTube series, Thompson's Gym, that we've been doing where people like email me or Facebook message me questions all the time about just technique and what I'm doing for my training. So we started this video series. It's kind of hodgepodgey. It's just sort of a, what do you call it, passion project maybe?
Yeah.
Some of it's just us cutting up, and some of it's just me doing instruction things, or it's all over the place. But it's there. So we had fun, but you know, it's a lot. But I'm only working 3 hours a day too, so that helps.
That helps.
Yeah.
Only working at teaching, right?
Working at teaching, and then my kids are in baseball, and their dad's the coach, you know, and so we've got that whole dynamic of running around to baseball tournaments and stuff like that. And I guess it is a little bit hard to balance it, but I think you just prioritize.
Yeah.
You have to get really good at priorities. I use that notes reminder on the iPhone all the time. I just put, okay, do this at this time, and I wait for it to come up because I'll forget, you know, so I've used that a lot. I talked to my husband the other day, and I'm like, I think I'm having early Alzheimer's. He's like, what? I'm like, we went to Target, we went shopping, I bought a pack of gum, and I stuck it up by the credit card machine, and then I paid and I left, and I got to the car, and I thought, I left that gum by the credit card machine. So I got in the car, I got home, and the gum was in my pocket. I'm like, I think I have a memory problem.
You're just trained. You're just got these habits.
I didn't even remember putting it in there. I thought I left it, and I'm like, honey, I am worried that I'm just losing my mind. And he's like, that's not Alzheimer's.
You're just busy.
You need reminders. You need to use a calendar. You just got too much in your head. And so I've been trying to be good, you know, about that.
Yeah.
But it's a lot, but you know, it's a lot of fun, really. It's all stuff I enjoy doing.
If you hated it.
Yeah, so it's not like I go to a job and I hate being there, or I do different things I hate doing. I love doing all of it. So it's sort of micromanaging, finding space for everything you love in the day, which gets hard sometimes, but you know what? You just say, this can wait till there, or this needs to get done now.
Right.
And in the end, I always remind myself what's the most important, and that's family.
Yep.
So in the end, when people get mad at you for not doing something, or this didn't go right, I always sort of center myself with that.
That's a baseball game. What? That's number one.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm really big on setting intentions so that I know when things get, my life is a little bit nuts and a little bit busy, and so when things get a little hectic and I'm gonna have to cut something today. Like, okay, well, what was my intention for the day? Like, there was a family thing, or something with my husband, or you know, one task that I had to get done, and then the rest is, I guess it can wait because it wasn't.
I always feel like, you know, you have one life to live.
Yeah.
You know, and you won't want to be so busy doing other things that you get to the end of it and say, I wish I should have, I could have, I should have done that. So I think that's sort of the most important thing, is to remember we have one time on this planet, no matter what your, you know, beliefs are. You have one opportunity to make the most of it. Yep. And so, you know, especially in America, because we've been doing lots of traveling, you know, and especially in America, we are such a a busy society, and we get so wrapped up in earning money and physical things and just over planning, and it's a little bit competitive, I guess, probably with some of that. But you go over to Europe and places like that. We were in Australia last year. Those people, they got it worked out. It's, stuff's not so important, and they really have learned to enjoy life and prioritize that and make meaningful things more important. So it's a lot of that too. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle.
It's so
take a
easy.
step back.
It's just like you said, you have to prioritize. So our podcast is all about being empowered by iron. So we were wondering, so you've been lifting for so many years now, and you've seen so much happen in the sport over time, but how has lifting affected you personally, like either emotionally or like mentally? Like how do you apply your principles of lifting to your everyday life?
Well, it's definitely made me a much more confident person. I look at where I started. When I first started, I was very shy. I was actually really afraid just to go to the grocery store by myself, or even check out a pack of gum.
That you may or may not have put in your pocket.
May or may not put in my pocket. And so I started off very insecure in life. Sort of have a tough upbringing, and I met my husband. He helped me kind of get empowered with things, but I grew up being put down a lot, so I didn't have a lot of belief in myself when I first started, especially in college. But I knew I was in a situation I had to get out of. So I got myself out of it, but then I was so nervous and scared, really, to do anything. And just even paying a bill was huge anxiety for me. It just, it was just tough. And so little by little, I sort of gained some confidence. I had to just to live, I had to get a job, which was really hard, just go get a job. And then you had to save money, and I knew I needed to go to college if I wanted to be anything, but that was a struggle too. And my husband, he and his buddies, he started off as roommates in just a rental house. And he learned how to weight train in the Army. And so he had just free weights in our basement of our rental house. Nice. And all his buddies would come over and lift. And I ran. I was in high school. I was a runner. And I hated running.
Join the club, man.
But I did it because my dad wanted me to. And I would have done anything for some daddy approval. So I was a runner. And so he kept going to me, "Why are you running? Get down here and lift these weights." Oh, that's awesome. And so we weren't even dating then. We were just friends. But I just, little by little, they got me in a program, and I would lift. And I think that in itself, because I felt stronger physically, I felt stronger mentally. And then more and more, I would push myself out of my comfort zone to do things, even silly as I wouldn't even go to a restaurant and eat at a table by myself. I don't know why, but I was nervous. People were thinking I was weird. I had this really anxiety going on. And so gradually I was able to push myself out of that. And even once I first started powerlifting, my nerves were off the charts. I performed poorly because I was busy running to the bathroom and throwing up. I was so nervous, But as I started seeing some success, that subsided, and you learn how to internalize the nervousness into a good thing. Yeah. And so it has gotten me to be from a very meek, insecure person to somewhere where I feel very confident in myself. I feel like I have a lot to give, and if you don't like me, I don't care. And I think that's big, because most people have a hard time with that. Even though they'll tell you, "I don't care what you say to me," they really do care. But the only people I really care about who think of me is the people I respect and love.
Right.
So if I don't know you, I don't respect you, I don't love you, and you don't like me, it's your problem. But it's taken me 18 years to get to that.
Well, it's amazing to hear you say that about yourself when you were younger, because when I look at you, I just see someone who's very confident and just
It took a while to get there. And one of the things, and this is sort of not powerlifting related, but one of the reasons I married my husband was because he, I had a lot of family issues, like lots of people do. But he said, "Jen, quit worrying about them. We are going to make our own awesome family. You were born with them. You can't control that they're your family." Because we just had just different anxiety things going on. He's like, we're going to make our own awesome family. Let it go. Quit letting that bother you. And I'm like, I love you. Yes, I'll marry you.
Of course.
That's amazing. That gives me
But
chills.
it was a real turning point for me just to, it's okay to let the baggage go. That doesn't define who you are. And you can create what you want. You know, quit trying to create what you can't with what you were born with. And take what you are and create it for yourself. And I have a most amazing husband. We've been married 21 years now, and I still can't believe it. It still feels
Go
like
team.
it was, just a few years ago. And I have amazing kids, and we have an amazing group of friends. And our family has come back to us. And those that are positive in our lives are now back in our lives. It took
Funny
a few
how that
years.
works.
Yeah. Time does that, I think, sometimes.
Yeah.
Maturity and growing up. And you learn to take what you can and not expect what you shouldn't expect from somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Right.
Like, this person's going to be a certain way. Quit expecting them to be something else. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You either accept it and be okay with it or just walk away. I mean, you're not going to change somebody to be something into they're not.
Right.
So,
I think a lot of that comes too with self-acceptance.
Yes,
Once you
very much
accept
so.
yourself, it's a lot easier to accept
yeah.
other people, and
that
other
was my
people are
moment.
different.
I still can remember. I can still tell you where we were at and where he said it and what we were doing. And it was that light bulb moment. And it was like, you feel like you're being pulled down by chains, and it was like all of a sudden and you felt lighter, and you're like, yeah, all right, let's do it. Yes. So, that's what made it great. We all are dealt with different decks of cards in this life. That's what you do with it. And back to the weightlifting, I don't know if I would have been able to do that had I not had, you're pushing yourself beyond where you think you can go. And that's a lot of things that make you successful in life, whether it's weight training or not. Learning how, you think you can't do that, but then you push yourself past that, and then you're on to the next one, and on to the next one, on to the next one. So you learn not to limit yourself, because if you would have told me, 15 years ago, I could bench press 315 pounds. I would have thought you're out of your mind. That was not even on the radar. I mean, I was just happy I got the quarters on there, and I thought I was big time stuff with the quarters on there.
95 is a big jump.
Yes, and so, but then you just learn, okay, and then you work towards the 10s, and then another 10, and then you get to the big wheels, and it's just, you learn, I think, through weight training, I have learned not to limit myself. I mean, you think you could only go somewhere, but then you just go past it.
You surprise yourself every
Every
single
time,
day. Yeah.
every time, and I think that happens in life too. If you limit yourself in what you're capable of doing, that's as far as you're going to get. But if you can look past that, it's not as hard to get there as you think it would be.
Right.
Just baby steps. I always have ranges of goals, immediate goals. I want to get here, and if something fantastic happened, I would get down to there. But I don't ever think I can't do it. And it might seem very impossible, but I always leave myself open to the possibility.
Yeah. Yeah. Be open to the possibility. That's right. You never know.
You don't know. Don't close doors for
No.
yourself.
So, what advice would you have to other women who they want to get into powerlifting or competing in some sport? Do you have any advice for them?
I think for women, I love what you're doing with the Empowered by Iron, is we empower each other in our community.
Yeah.
So there are people out there to help you. You don't have to do it yourself. It's much harder to try to figure things out on yourself. So if you can find that community,
Peeps.
your peeps really do let you in with open arms. This is behind our training camps, we call it the Sisterhood. And Frances Manius from Canada she's sort of like our spokesperson, but she brings the sisterhood to our camps, and she brings just this community, this sense of belonging, this sense of warmth. And I think you have that. I think we as women are sort of wired that way, and that we are going to help each other be the best that we can be if you want it, and be there for you. So I think in any sport, particularly now with the internet and stuff, it's so easy to find somebody. And I think you would be amazed if you looked on YouTube and you said, I really think that girl's got it going on. You think you'd be surprised if you mentioned her, she'd probably answer you back. I think a lot of times people get this impression that some people are untouchable or they're on this level, there's no way they would talk to me. But if you actually take that step to do it, you find that they're very welcoming and open, and they can just definitely direct you in the right way. And as far as first-time competitors, particularly in powerlifting, I hear a lot people not wanting to start till they hit certain numbers, or they don't want to start till they get there. They set these sort of, I don't want to say unattainable standards, but it's pretty tough to have your best meet your first one out. You know?
Right.
So
I mean, arguably, it probably is your worst meet, right?
it should
you're
be.
only going to be
It
better
should be.
for that.
Yeah,
Right.
It should be. So I always feel like you need like practice meets, you know, and I always think like when we train girls in our gym, like we'll do a practice meet in the gym and we'll have them get in their singlets and everything, you know, and we'll sort of mimic it out and go through a dry run and we'll call the commands and we'll sort of set up like a little mini gym meet. And then when you get in there, I mean, there's so many things that you can't plan for. So you have to be you got to be going the flow, but it's just all learning. I mean, the first few meets are huge learning curves. Just the flow of the meet and the calls. It's all different when you're out there in front of somebody with 3 referees. You know. So I think not set standards so high for your first ones. Think of them as practice meets, learning meets, and then and that helps with the nerves too. I think too if you don't set such high standards for those first ones.
Right. Just go in and see what happens and have fun.
Have fun with it, and you'll find like one of the reasons I've been in the sport for so long is the community is awesome.
Right. It is.
And it's very supportive, and we were back there, even though like Kim and I compete pretty competitively against each other. We were back there like high-fiving, hugging, go get them, because you really want to see the best out of everybody. And it's not a negative sport where I'm like not talking to you because you're my competitor and I'm going to give you the stank face kind of thing. It's not like that. And we've met, friends that we've had for years now.
See, that's awesome.
So it's definitely something worth getting into for sure. And it's a community of volunteers. We all volunteer just to make our sport great. I think that's what says a lot too.
It says a whole lot, especially about the passion, because you got to love it if you want to volunteer for it.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look, we have at Raw Nationals here, we have, I think it was 1,100 athletes lifting, and all these people, we have 5 platforms going, all these referees, spotters, they're all volunteers.
Yeah.
They're spending their entire days working because they love the sport and we love watching the sport. But, we love giving back to sport because we know that's what's going to make it grow. So
That's huge.
Yeah. So if you were to have knowing what you know now, if you were to look back on your, 21, 22-year-old self, what advice would you have for the younger you?
Yeah. I wish I took my own advice what I said for first-time lifters right now. Because I put a ton of pressure on myself, and it was not enjoyable, and I cut weight terribly, and it was really not fun. And then, back then was the equipment, and I really, I hated it, so I didn't practice in it, and so I wasn't very good at it.
Right.
So, I mean, comparatively, so I wish I would have done that a little bit differently. I wish I would have been a little more mature about it. But mostly, yeah. I mean, I wish I would have just took it in stride and not worried so much about stuff.
Yeah.
I had a little more confidence that I have now. I didn't have then. But
Right.
injected that into her and told her it was going to be okay. It's just a meat. You don't need to throw up.
Your language. Oh my goodness.
I actually missed, we were at Nationals one time and I missed one of my deadlifts because I was in the bathroom puking.
Oh.
It was bad.
Well, at least you're past that now.
Thank God. It took a few years.
I do think, though, it's powerful for women that are listening to hear, like,
been a
Jennifer
journey.
Thompson saying that.
you
Like,
know.
I was so nervous I was puking.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
for sure. And even now I get nervous.
Sure.
Like I woke up nervous this morning. I sort of calmed myself down. I'll get nervous again a little bit.
Nerves help a little.
I think you want them.
Yeah.
If you're not nervous,
Yeah.
there's a problem.
That's
Yes.
right.
You're not going to do very well.
That's right,
Because
yeah.
it's not important
It's
enough.
not important.
And you want, those nerves are energy. You
still wanna do your best.
And stuff. So you need them to help you do well. I usually am really nervous through the weigh-ins and then through first squat. And then I sort of settle in and I'm
It's
good.
all
Well,
yeah.
then you've got bench, which is your thing.
Right. Well, squats are my weakness, so I always, those worry me the most. I'm always so happy when those are over with. Oh, I got through the tough part. It's all sort of cake from here on out.
Well, tell our listeners how they can, find out more about you or find out about your camps that you're running, or how can they find you?
See, our camps are ironsistersusa.com. And so we have them all listed on there. We just have the Omaha one open right now, and then we'll open the California one. And we're looking at a couple other camps too, so looking for some more camps to pop up. I enjoy doing those. It's such a great weekend of sisterhood. We have these socials, and then we have, the best of each part of the sport, instructing you hands-on and how to do it. We have these little Q&As, we have a little hand-holding going on, and it's
awesome.
it's really like a fun girls' weekend with some weight training mixed in there.
That sounds like the ideal
That's the
girls'
best.
weekend.
And I get to do it over and over and over again, which makes
Yeah.
it fantastic. And Kim and Bonica and Francis are just great buddies to hang out with. So, and I'm excited about hanging out with Marissa and Lynn too. I'm really excited about Barbell Brigade. Do you watch those guys at all on their
yes.
YouTube?
Oh my goodness.
They're huge. I'm really excited to work out in there.
That is almost like the
It's like
gym.
the Mecca.
Yes,
The
it is,
Mecca
that
of
is it.
powerlifting.
If you made it to Barbell Brigade, you
Oh
made it.
man, it's good stuff. So that, and then I have 2 YouTube channels. I have my 132 pounds of power. That was the weight class when I first started. My husband made me a website for Christmas one year when websites were just starting. And it was 132poundsofpower.com. And so then I have that. I just mostly just put up like, I don't know, feats that I do, or if I PR in something or feats. But then the Thompson's Gym YouTube channel is more of like I'll pick a exercise that we do and I'll show us working out. It's almost kind of more like a real world kind of, like I videotape our training, and sometimes we say goofy stuff, and there's a lot of swearing going on, just so you know.
Warning.
And then I'll take one exercise and do like a tutorial of it on the end or something like that. So that's just been sort of a fun thing. And then of course, like I've had to get familiar with social media because it's so huge. So I actually have Instagram and Pinterest and Snap. I'm trying to learn how to Snapchat.
I could never get on Snapchat.
I can't do it.
I'm okay at it, but it's all Jen Thompson 132.
Jen
So that's
Thompson
all
was
there.
there.
And Facebook, of course.
Okay. So we'll link to that stuff in our show notes.
Yeah.
And direct people to you if they wanna find you.
I get on it, like, I try not to get too sucked into that stuff,
Right.
because it's easy to keep, like, seeing what's new, because there's constantly new stuff.
Constantly.
I just did a thing on Reddit. Have you heard of Reddit?
Yeah.
That is a crazy place. But I really had a fun interview day on there, but I love looking at their homepage. They got crazy stuff on there constantly. but sometimes I'll take a couple days and I'll, like, X out of social media.
Which is probably
You gotta take a
good.
little mental break there.
Mental break.
It's easy to have, like, I wonder if they have, like, a disorder named for, like,
I'm sure it's
social
coming.
media addiction or something.
I'm sure.
I'm sure it's
I bet
coming.
they do.
It's already a thing, so
I
it's
bet
just
it
got to have a
is.
name now.
Yeah. Anyway.
Anyway. Well, so thank you so much for joining us for
Thank
this
you.
interview. I know that you guys won't be able to watch this, but you can go watch the recap. I'm sure you'll find it on YouTube. So Jen lifts tonight in the 63
Yeah.
kilogram class.
Yeah.
She's going to win some titles, break some records, I'm sure.
I'm excited. It'll be fun. I like this prime time. I think this prime time is really setting us up for a more mainstream audience.
Yes.
So I think it's good stuff. And Kim Walford and I will be going at it tonight. And actually, my weight class is getting more competitive. We have Eva. I can never say her last name. Starts with a J.
Yeah, it's
I don't want to say it.
Januskovic.
Januskovic. I didn't want to. But she, Eva, she's fabulous. She's up and coming. And then there's a new girl, Samantha Calhoun, who I've never heard of, is ranked second.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, and our juniors are coming up too. So, I mean, I think a lot of times people look at us, we're in there, and we've been winning it for so long, they feel, I don't know, like it's a little daunting to even try maybe sometimes. I hear that a lot. But you never know
There's always
who
that.
the next girl's
Yep.
coming. You always got to be ready for her, and I'm sure, when I was coming up, the girls before me felt the same way. I mean, they had been winning for years and years and years and years, and then here comes
Here
this
you
girl
are.
out of
Here
nowhere.
comes Jen.
Here
Who
comes
is this
Jen.
chick?
So I'm waiting for the next me to come and be ready for her. I don't ever think I got it wrapped up, because you never know what's coming. That's a fun part of it too, though.
That's what I mean,
Keeps
it would
going.
be fun if you just knew you were going to walk in and win.
No, not much of a sport that way.
No, that's just kind of a one-man show.
Yeah, so it's exciting. But thank you for taking the time to talk.
Thank you
It's
so
a lot of fun.
much.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
If you like what you heard today, please help us connect with other female badasses. We would love if you would leave us a review on iTunes, tell your friends about us, visit our website, which is empoweredbyiron.com. You can find each of us on Instagram. Mary is at MaryMo_92, and Kristen is at Kristen with an I, Lander.
Future topics will include nutrition, programming and training, mental health, and just general female badassery.
Yeah, so let us know what you want to hear. If you have any input, that'd be awesome. And guys, this is Empowered by Iron. We want it to be a resource and an outlet for women who are finding their confidence, their independence, and their strength through iron. So thank you for listening. Thank you for checking in. And until next time, I'm Mary.
I'm Kristen.
And this is Empowered by Iron.